shut up, you listen to my monkey mouth. There's a companion when you got pun on the canoa route. Hopped in a portal and got in a fight, Elias knocked him out. Bow, Naruto fighting style. Bow, UFC he tapped out. Bow, we win, we get crowned. Monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth.
So what's going on, buddy? How you been, man?
Great, man. Great, man.
Happy
it's really good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah,
good to see you, man.
Guys.
So you know my boy Josh here. We've known each other. I mean, I rolled her. I was in there for a brief period of time, and I got caught up with work. So I was having fun. Yeah. And I got to meet all the cool people from.
Concept.
Concept. Yeah.
Gentlemen, real quick, let's turn this camera just a little bit so it looks nice so we can keep it rolling. It just needs to look nice for the guys on the back end who actually watch. Just turn it that way just a little bit more. There we go. Yeah, we can, that way Craig can sit back in there and be nice and comfortable.
Yeah, be nice and comfortable, man. It's all about comfort. So yeah, man, we were doing this out of Big Puns here, Radix. Well, I'm sorry.
It's all good, yeah.
Shop, you know.
Yeah, out of the warehouse.
Out of the warehouse.
I didn't know.
Yeah, we were doing it on this bad boy right here.
Yeah.
Interesting.
When the tornado came through town, it crushed the studio and the warehouse and everything. And so I was like, I really like doing the podcasting stuff, and this is like a perfect impetus for me to go and like upgrade, right? Like this is all way upgraded compared to what it was. Oh, sweet dude, you're a mixed martial artist. You might appreciate it. That's a fucking signed glove by Francis Ngannou, bro.
No way.
Yeah. My
Francis, awesome.
Yeah, my business partner Chris, and like I was one of like his groomsmen at his wedding. Like we go lifetime friends. We played JV football together, and I played guard, and he was quarterback, and we ran a fucking quarterback sneak from like midfield, and he scored a touchdown. It was like one of the only times he ever scored in JV football, but it's one of those like shared memories, right? And so the guy who got me that, we go way, way, way back.
That's super cool, man.
Yeah, it was a really cool thing, man. He gave it to me at my son's second birthday, and he straight up stole the whole show with that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like I fucking felt like a dork. He got me a cooler gift than I got for my son.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of my son's second birthday, this is actually the shirt that I got made.
My son just turned 2 also.
Damn,
Same, yeah.
Dude, they're fun at this age.
I know.
I like them when they're like 6 months old. They're like little smushers. They're
all
just
this
like
new stuff coming out of their mouth.
The personality's really showing through now.
Oh my gosh.
Like I'm an uncle, man, so it was all about like just watching the 3 different personalities.
It's so nuts. It's a little bit of mom and a little bit of dad, and then their own way also. Yeah. It's so fun to watch each individual one. This is my 3rd, so thank you so much.
It's my first, and I feel like I fulfilled my obligation to the species. I'm fucking done, bro. I ain't making it. You know, they always say that like your first kid is always going to be like opposite of your second kid. Totally. Like, and so my first kid is an angel, right? Like, well, Theodore is an angel, and he already tests my patience. Yeah. So if I get given a hellion, I'm going to fucking jail, bro. Like, I'm going straight to jail for fucking.
Well, I shaved it a little bit, but I've got a lot of white coming in.
Yeah, right? The same thing happens to my brother, man. He's primarily salt these days. He gonna be salty about that comment, but he don't listen to my fucking podcast anyway, so he ain't ever gonna hear it.
I think we're happy to get like an MMA fighter on here, so we're trying to get it out there.
Yeah, well, so you know, I'm also doing my own. I'm actually doing a podcast about mixed martial arts entirely called Armchair Mixed Martial Arts. I'm on like my 10th episode of it already.
This is really cool. It's like a fight companion piece, man.
Yeah, I do a review about every numbered UFC card, and I talk about like if there's anything cool that happened in PFL or Bellator, I might cover that as well. Okay. But like, you know, it's kind of like primarily the point is that I'm.
That was the whole reason why I got the big guy in here, because I was like, dude, I'm like green as hell when it comes to this
right.
So,
you cover the concepts of those different promotions and things like that.
Yeah, well, so it's
he did like the weigh-in that was kind of like messed up. He talked about the weigh-in last time.
Yeah, how Tony Ferguson fucking jumped on the scale and knocked it out of calibration. Well, that's such a stupid problem. Why don't they have 2 scales?
Supposedly it was from turning to kilograms instead, right?
It switched in between and it threw it out of calibration, threw it out of whack. Who knows? But the bottom line is that I feel like they should for sure have at least 3 scales. Like 2 analogs and a digital.
They do need to monitor this so much better.
Well, like there's
too much money in the
if there's any question, right? Like why not have a second validated piece of equipment there that allows for you to validate the first piece of equipment? Like it's so.
That's
like,
some big news and some super big controversy in the whole mixed martial arts.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Like Oliveira, literally not the champ right now.
Yeah,
like he's literally not the fucking champ right now. Over that.
So we were talking about, man, when we were
which is such a travesty. That guy's a fucking beast.
He's a monster, man. He's a monster.
When we were doing this, man, it was insane. We were literally in a small, cramped room, and then I was walking downtown because I don't drive anywhere, so I was walking. And I was like, I found this cool spot, and turned out the person who's basically renting out the spaces that already worked with Big Man.
Yeah, so the lady who leased us out this spot is the lady who leased us out our store that we had in Taylor.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I mean it's just a small town shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to work in commercial real estate, you working with this particular group of people in Taylor,
This
Texas.
was like Taylor ISD administration building forever, right?
And
Something
then
of that nature.
This shit literally wasn't even listed on the MLS. Like whenever he told me about it, he's a little green in business. Like it's actually his first actual business that he's ever done, which is cool. Yeah, it's cool. Everybody's got to take their first step. I love it. I love working with Mikey. But the bottom line is,
Mikey is my nickname. But
I know him from fucking middle school.
We're like, we go so far back.
Like, he called me Pun too, not Joshua.
Oh yeah,
you know?
yeah, Big Pun Joshua. Yeah.
But to make a long story short, actually, I don't remember what I was saying.
So,
I'm
make
high.
a long story short,
Super high.
Like to make a long story short, man, we were doing this off a cell phone in a tin building that got like wrecked with that last tornado.
Oh, dude, it was so frustrating because I had some dudes doing some weird ass work, like in the warehouse next to us. They like repossess laboratory instrumentation, and so they were going like goons in the middle of the night and like goinking fucking people's laboratories. And so like 2 in the morning,
Dexter in it.
Yeah, bro. 2 in the morning, these guys might be unloading a truck, right? And so there was never a safe time for me to record.
Here it's like, man, you can hear a pin drop. Like, I mean, Josh came in here and he just like put the sound padding, and we got real lucky with this like tight space here.
Isn't it kind of neat? I thought it was neat how I did the checker pattern.
Yeah,
literally all this we did, bro. Like this is all like me and Mikey did all this, bro.
Yeah, and we try and make it like real personal. You know, so like when you come in, you know, you got the vitamin water, you got your
set the tone.
The point is that it's a rewarding experience, right? Like if you walk in and it looks nice, and it smells nice, and it sounds nice, like bro, that's 3 of your 5 primary senses right there. I've been impressed upon positively, right? And like we have music playing, which probably ought to be paused.
Yeah, that's what
we probably ought to pause that real quick.
Pause it and close the door is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, let's do that real quick.
I'm gonna step up for 2 seconds.
I'll keep it rolling,
man.
Yeah.
I think
everybody forgive us. We're a little new at this.
Starting it out. No. I think the experience is half the value of it. And I think you guys are nailing it.
Well, the point is that if you can come in and like it's a positive, rewarding experience for you, you'll want to come back just because of how comfortable we made it for you.
I'm glad you broke that up because there was like a small part of me that my knees were starting to point towards the door. I'm like, I gotta close that door because it's driving me nuts.
Yeah.
So like
it always feels like a much bigger deal to us whenever we have to stop for like like the people who are listening to this. It's gonna be like that, and they're gonna fucking forget about it, but it's gonna drive us crazy that those 2 things just happen.
Is so into your podcast that he dozes off right in the middle of it. I don't know who that guy could be. It couldn't have been me. Could it have been?
Bro, this happened. I was, I have like kind of a big bassy voice, and I do a Konoha companion, which is like a Naruto. Naruto's an anime, and it's like an episode by episode review of that particular anime, and I was recording it, and he was in the studio. Motherfucker started snoring on the couch.
It was like so relaxing. He has this baritone voice, and I'm just like listening to it, just like this is life, man. And it's like that's what we wanted here.
It was actually like the best compliment I could have got.
Chill,
it was like. So I put him to sleep. That's good. I'm doing all right.
That's good.
We each kind of like came together and we chose our podcast. Like we didn't like choose it. It kind of came to us, and Monkey Mouth was kind of just like it was like just us.
Some shit that fell out of my mouth.
Yeah, it just fell out of his mouth.
On a whole other podcast where I was trying to explain it.
First iteration, like the first creation of like our flagship podcast, which is Portal Boys, and that was about Rick and Morty, and we just kind of like spit that out, and I was like, stop. Everything.
We scrapped that whole episode. Literally, we like stopped recording mid-process because we liked the Monkey Mouth brand so much.
And now it's
switched it all up.
Yeah, it was like an instantaneous moment of.
And
I think that's a pretty hot name. I like that.
We love it, man, and we're so glad to have you in, man. And so we like I said, like literally off a cell phone, tin can style, literally just having so much fun. Just I hit him up like out of the blue one day.
So you're from Granger or something?
Both of us.
You are too.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
we went.
It's so weird. I mean, this is kind of the same beginning for me throughout all my stuff too. I'm from.
And that's what we want to know, man.
I'm from Thrall.
Yeah.
Right, originally, right.
Small town boys.
We we were rivals a little bit growing up in high school.
Literally
the 1A, Class A stuff.
Oh, I mean, bro, like y'all couldn't fuck Thrall girls. Y'all had to go to Granger to get pussy. We couldn't fuck Granger girls. We had to go to Thrall to get pussy.
Or Thorndale for us.
Yeah, and so there was always friction between the guys because the guys from the small towns felt like we were stealing each other's pussy.
Each other.
The guys from Thrall
right across the lake.
Yeah, it's like, dude, someone from Granger, I see a girl I got a crush on getting smashed on by a dude from Thrall. Fuck Thrall.
Man. fun.
Those guys are
yeah,
dicks. Those guys are dicks.
Y'all say football was bad, but I think track was worse, man.
Yeah,
those track people, man. Football's bad. Like they got some bad blood, but those track girls, man, they were making.
I don't know.
I think in Class A, it
everybody.
didn't really matter what sport. Every sport, I think we kind of all played all of them, or at least a couple.
You were at least expected to, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you were definitely expected
if you
to,
were
for sure.
over 150, and like I love that we're all past like we're all in the 80s and 90s, so we like know we're not. I hate to be like that, but we're not soft. They literally called it the fat man race. If you were over like 125 pounds, they'd be like, all right, fat ass, get out there and go run a mile.
Yeah.
And like then I'm sorry, it built character.
Bro,
I thought
I'll tell you,
the fat man run was fun.
Bro, my favorite thing about every track meet is that I don't know if they were doing this whenever you were there, but whenever we were there, they would literally have all the fat guys who did like shot put and discus and stuff and didn't want to do any of the running. They'd make them run a 100-meter dash.
That's what I'm saying, the fat man run.
Yeah.
That's what they call
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what you're talking. So you said run a mile, so I was thinking we might be talking about something slightly different. Yeah, bro. They had
Sorry, guys. I was one of the first ones to run the mile. I was a cross country runner in high school. I was on state cross country meet.
Dude, you were a different animal.
Bro, I'll tell you.
3 years also, and tennis and baseball. I was state in all three of those.
I'll tell you what. At one time, I chose because I just didn't want to go to class. I chose to be the water boy for the cross country team, and that was fucking exhausting. Bro. I was like, "Fuck this! I quit."
Keep up with them.
Fuck this.
Track for me was consistently just getting water because I had like a friend that was like doing really well. Like actually went to college because off of their track.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say any names,
For sure.
but yeah. So they actually went to Houston Tilton, I think, because of their track prowess.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking
anymore.
about.
That's why I'm not saying any names. And so, but yeah, man. So I was a water boy for him, and all the other people, man. Man. I'm telling you, dude, it was so bad back then. Like people don't even know. Like they always say, like, man, these teachers, they just started like messing with like the senior girls, dude. That was like that's been happening since forever and a day, man. Like Ranger was the worst about that.
I graduated in year 2000, so at that time and then my brother was 4 years older than me.
Okay,
so
yeah.
he graduated, or 2 years older than me.
And if I'm not mistaken, your brother I met your brother. He's the one who was going through the surgery.
The jaw surgery.
Yeah, man. That boy, he's coming on my podcast too. I'm excited to have him on. That boy's crazy.
Pretty crazy motorcycle wreck, man.
Yeah.
Thought I lost him for a minute, man. Honestly,
we're so happy to have him around, man.
I'm glad that he didn't go.
Yeah, we're so happy.
That right there is why I don't fucking fuck with motorcycles, bro.
Yeah.
Like everybody who I've ever known that's ridden them long term has like taken a hard hit. And,
I met him.
It's usually not their fault either.
Can you give me his name?
Some idiot.
Kyle.
I met Kyle. I saw Kyle at the social club where you get those energy drinks, right?
Yeah.
And he was telling me about it, and he goes, "Yeah, so I went out and I got a faster bike," and I was like, "Oh, boy,
Got 2 more cents.
boy,
My man.
what are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, if I would have been a little bit faster."
He's like road captain in a club. And
Yeah,
stuff,
man, I
so,
mean-
you know, he's got
fucking
responsibilities.
about that
man.
life.
You know, he's got
about that life.
responsibilities.
Yeah, that's why I want him in here. You're gonna come in for that one, and you may come in for that one if you want, man.
I'd love to. I'd love
Yeah,
to.
the more the merrier. We can fit as many as like 20 people in here. We'll be doing it, man.
Pack it up.
Well, that's what we want. We want arms coming off the chair.
Yeah, eventually we're gonna run wires along
Yeah.
in there, and we're gonna have boom arms that come out so everybody can sit there. We're gonna soundproof the whole rest of the place.
This whole kind of thing is hopefully gonna turn into like what is essentially a podcast production. Yeah, so like where we're literally hosting not just our podcast, but hopefully other people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely hoping that we'll be able to get people to come in and pay to utilize the space, and then also there will be opportunities to, instead of doing that, develop equity in other people's podcasts.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to put people on at this point. I think it's ridiculous. Like, man, the fucking studio got destroyed by a tornado, so I had to do a lot of looking around. Like, people are charging some pretty ridiculous prices to go into their studio and record, and so I think that just like being out here in Taylor, being a little off the beaten trail, and charging like significantly less than what the people in Austin are charging, because like they're getting strung up by their toes by rent. Like if you're running a studio in Austin and they're charging you $2,000 a month for rent, you gotta cover that nut.
Somehow.
You know, and
Somehow,
so exactly, and so you got to get some motherfuckers in the door, right? And we ain't really got that tension out
I feel
here.
how hard it is for guys who are doing like the gym,
Like, we can get
the
no
gym
one
life
on
and the
here.
jiu-jitsu.
It's tough.
stuff, man, because you're probably
Different.
You're probably covering it just barely, you know.
Yeah.
So even if like 2 guys quit, man, you gotta go back and find 2 more people.
Yeah, the cool thing is where I'm at now. Like I've actually started working for Renzo Gracie Jiu-Jitsu in Austin, right downtown. So
That's beautiful.
I'm a part of Renzo Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and
So these Gracie guys, that's why I'm green. Like this Gracie name is just
that's
the
the
most
name.
well-known name.
It's
It's the most well-known name in jiu-jitsu, Gracie alone.
Yeah.
There's different Renzo branches of it, and just different Gracie branches of it. But
You've managed to find your way to the branch that's settled in Austin.
he's well known, and actually they only opened up about a little over a year ago. In Austin, but I had been here with these guys in Taylor forever.
Aces, right?
Concept Jiu-Jitsu, and then I cross-trained at Aces doing MMA things.
I think I saw you on a commercial for Aces.
Yeah,
Getting your
I'm on a
act
commercial too.
That was fucking cool, bro. I saw that shit. I was
yeah.
like, that's my man, Craig.
Hey, there's no room for you to be modest here, man. If you're gonna be happy,
Jack
about
of all
it, show up
trades,
and show
man.
off.
Jack of all
Yeah,
trades.
no, I've done. We should have a couple of those Aces Jiu-Jitsu Club commercials coming out. I've got more than one. So
nice.
There's probably others. He's probably gonna post.
So is it like a bringer? Like the one thing that I've ever been, my cousin's ex-husband was like a low-level boxer. His name was Nacho.
Okay.
And so it was almost like a bringer, like with comedy. They asked people to come in and like bring 4 people, and then like from there you hopefully invite 4 more people. Is that kind of like where you're at with the thing, or is it just like, is it do you get any like incentive to bring people into watching?
Is the promotion putting any of the responsibility of promoting on you?
Yeah.
So that's the difference in like MMA and then jiu-jitsu, right? Or MMA and just an individual martial arts, right? Because with MMA, you're pretty much promoting yourself throughout the whole entire time.
Okay.
There's no gym that you're promoting with or that will promote you. You're trying to move yourself through the world, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're a jiu-jitsu guy that's turning MMA, but you're associated with Renzo Gracie like I am now.
Yeah. So Renzo Gracie isn't like Don King pushing you out to be a...
No, not
that's what I'm saying.
No. It's more we're under the wing of Renzo Gracie.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And their jiu-jitsu's world class.
Yeah,
world class. Some of the best grapplers in the world. Have trained through Renzo Gracie and like GSP.
Yeah.
George St. Pierre, man.
There's just going to be literally trade secrets available at that establishment that aren't available anywhere else,
course,
right?
yeah.
Gordon
Like,
Ryan.
isn't that kind of the idea?
I don't know if y'all know these guys. Gordon
I
Ryan.
know literally
GSP,
every single
of
person
course,
that you
yeah.
said.
He
something.
does. I know GSP now.
John Donaher.
Yeah,
John Donaher was.
He's probably like a catalog.
I'm a
of, like,
nerd
UFC
with it.
fighter.
So John was the coach of George St. Pierre whenever he was winning. And
so he was taking over. Yeah, he was taking over in like the mid 2000s. Like, yeah.
So I sit next to this guy every day in jiu-jitsu in Austin.
Yeah, man. I imagine
I get
probably
some good invested knowledge.
It's probably just like, I mean, you have this like subtle, you have to kind of keep composure every time you run into these guys because they're the people that you're probably looking up to.
It's cool because they're just people though.
Yeah, of course.
At the same time, so I think it's such a better relationship if you can be natural in front of them and they can be natural in front of you.
Yeah.
And then that way everything's just put out there, especially with jiu-jitsu, honestly. Whenever you get out there on the mats, it's pretty honest.
I can't.
Yeah, there's no hiding nothing when you're rolling on the
I
mat.
can't imagine these guys really want people to kind of like, nerd over them. They probably just want you to get in there and learn how to be a better...
Look, everybody that comes onto the mats and like anybody that comes out there has a little bit of an ego issue already. It's just what it is.
Isn't that kind of the,
This is the thing. We're going to control this stuff, right? So we go out there and we learn a lot of stuff about it along the way and meet these people and just the different vast amounts of people that you learn.
So is there anybody that you like were
awesome.
really excited to check? Like you came on hard, and you were like, I gotta.
Like
check
you
this
got to be the guy to put some ego in check.
You don't have to say names. I'm just curious.
No, I'm known to do this though.
That's great,
I'm
man.
I'm like the MMA guy in the building of jiu-jitsu guys, right? So usually a lot of times I'm the smaller guy, but I'm kind of known to be that guy that's wiry and wild.
Yeah.
And I'll approach things like that. Yeah. So I got over to Renzo Gracie whenever I started over there. It was like my first week, and I had a friend of mine from another facility. Actually, I was being sponsored in this Reverend Jiu-Jitsu deal, and a guy through Reverend, he told me, he was like, hey man, you need to watch out for this guy. I've heard a little bit about him through the community, and blah, 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 this and that. So
Not friendly to roll with.
Right, well, maybe not. I don't know. I didn't really get the whole gist of it all. But it was just a cute watch out kind of deal. And this guy had never crossed me like that. So I was like, okay, thanks, man. I appreciate it. So I always, you in jiu-jitsu community, whenever somebody says that, you kind of perk up a little bit. So honestly, I can't hold that in my thought and in my brain.
Yeah, right.
That really bothers me, just knowing that that's there. So by the end of the day, we were mopping up and cleaning, and he was on the other end of the gym, and I just approached him and asked him, I was like, "What the fuck's going on, man? I just got to understand what about you."
Well, I think that you were kind of talking about
so.
that. Maybe that's just kind of like a regular thing that happens in this world, because you were talking a little bit about the whole drama between, what is this, the whole YouTube drama, right? And you were letting it be known that Callan comes correct. Like, he doesn't let things kind of like fester. He's like, let's air this dirty laundry.
This could be a problem in our brains whenever this happens, and we're letting this happen, right?
Yeah.
So we're manifesting something, and this will manifest over and over. So then we're held back by this also.
It's licking the cut on the roof of your mouth
for
not
certain.
letting it heal.
Yeah, absolutely. We just don't want these kind of things. I don't know. I'm particularly, I look at it in negative and positive energy. So whenever I get that positive energy, I want to keep it, and if I have negative energy trying to manifest, then I have to get rid of it.
Of course, yeah.
Right, so hence a lot of sauna stuff that I do. So.
That's great, man. Sauna's great, man. Sauna's real good. Breathing techniques, it's all good for...
all about energy, man.
Yeah, I love that, man. So one thing that I wanted to ask is, because a lot of people, I mean, even I, as someone who's like particularly into mixed martial arts, doesn't necessarily understand what promotions are active locally, and like if I were to go and want to watch fights in Austin or around here, where would I go online to look at that, and like where would I go in real life to go and check it out? Like where online and where in real life do you go to check out fights if you're a fan locally to Central Texas?
Yeah, so everything's regulated through the Texas Department of Licensing and Registration through Austin, through the city of Austin and Texas, right? So everything's under the Boxing Commission. So usually you can go on one of these two websites, Texas Department of Licensing and Registration or the Texas Boxing Commission, and find out what kind of fights are going on around Texas.
Okay, yeah. So that's all listed on the commission's website.
Yeah, you can end up searching through there and find.
See, I would have never known that. That's something that, like, I've been watching fights since Ultimate Fighter 1. I had no idea that you could look that up.
Was it hard to regulate in the boxing world? Did they kind of push y'all guys away for a little while? Because I know that there was kind of some issues, or did that not really happen in Texas?
No, honestly, that's more so. There's more boxing in Texas than there is in MMA, I believe. Honestly, in Austin, for sure, there's more.
Yeah, that's why I said, like.
Well, I mean, no matter how you slice, I think boxing's still a bigger sport. You know what I'm saying? It's just been around for 150 years. You know what I'm saying? So
right, we have more of a history of the boxing.
Yeah, it's got that old school. It's just like got that old established like dark money flowing into it, right? That like there's like tyrannosaurs on the island who run the planet, who just like have money coming from a fucking bank account that's linked up to the stacks of gold in the Philippines, and like it's just all numbers on paper to them, and so like boxing just stays afloat because they've managed to get hooked into like the dark money on the planet, you know?
Well, I think like kickboxing or like judo or like some of the other martial arts throughout the world, these are all boxing is just one of ours that we had over here in America.
Yeah, it's
like just the one that caught over
when you find out that like
the power of being first to market.
Absolutely,
they were first to market for martial arts.
When you find out like the United Emirate like loves WWE or like Japan loves wrestling, and you kind of get like this like huge quiet like community of just wanting these like I would say huge and quiet is kind of an understatement, but like it really is like this like undertone, like they really want like wrestlers there. They want people. They would like the. I mean, there was a whole story where like wrestling was huge in the United Arab Emirate and
American wrestling is a huge thing. Right?
Yeah,
no matter
the
what.
UAE.
The UAE. I couldn't think of it. That's why I said the whole thing.
It's so hard to say all that.
Yeah.
The UAE.
Unfortunately, in the South, it wasn't for us though. Right?
Yeah.
We were just like football, baseball stuff, sports like that. So
I mean, Texas. I mean, like we literally have movies called fucking Friday Night Lights.
Friday Night Lights.
Well, you'd be surprised.
No one was pushing. No one ever pushed. I don't even think Granger had a wrestling team.
No. We didn't know.
Yeah. No one was pushing
wrestling around us. There was wrestling and martial arts.
Yeah.
Which, man, I should have blamed.
I should
have blamed losing my train of thought on CTE earlier. Certain I got some CTE from banging my head around.
Banging your head, yeah.
Bro,
Man,
there was one
if
time.
it wasn't the banging the head, it was the Texas heat with all of the equipment on.
I'm gonna tell you what.
And drinking from lead-based hoses.
So I think a lot of the promotions, honestly, back to the promotion thing, I think a lot of the promotional stuff with MMA, you're going to look at like Fury, Fury FC. It's called Fury Fighting Championship. They're out of Houston. These guys are really good, and they put people into the UFC and things like that. He works, and they go to San Antonio, Houston. They usually don't come over to Austin, but some of these...
But that would be Syntex, right? Yeah. San Antonio would count.
Yeah. So, and then there's... I don't know, there's a couple other...
I believe that my buddy Dylan has actually fought for Fury. Yep. I have a buddy Dylan who's fighting professionally right now, and I believe that he's fought for Sparta for sure. and Fury FC. Isn't Fury the one that goes on they put on Fight Pass?
Yep.
Yeah, and he's been on there a couple times.
They do Fight Pass quite a bit.
He's been on there a couple times. I've seen my boy Dylan fight on Fight Pass. It was pretty damn cool.
Yeah, they got, and then PFL stuff, obviously PFL. All these venues though, look, they just move around, right? You just kind of have to follow whatever venue that may be and that you've seen before and see where they're going to next.
Not to pull away from that, but I mean, is the shirt sponsored or is it just kind of
yeah, this is Renzo Gracie Austin shirt, man.
That's all I wanted to make sure. Yeah,
shout him
out, buddy.
Shout out Renzo Gracie Austin Scramblers, baby.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Great, man.
We do it better.
Listen,
man.
You want to go get put in check? Our man will do it.
Yeah, man.
You got an ego that needs to be checked. Just hit my homie up.
Come see me. I'll meet you at the front door for sure. Yeah. I'm Renzo, man. This is where it's at. I think even with we do some cool little venues over there at Renzo, just jiu-jitsu only kind of stuff. It's a promotion called Enigma Jiu-Jitsu. I've been fighting on it a couple times, actually
what I love
once recently, and it's all professional Jiu-Jitsu. It's really nice.
Was that your most recent fight?
That was one of my most recent fights.
Wasn't your most recent fight a couple days before your birthday?
Yeah. I usually set them around my birthday. I like to schedule myself to give me a little perk.
Yeah.
Right. So before and after the birthday, I always get a weekend of Jiu-Jitsu, nice Jiu-Jitsu tournaments.
So your most
super
thing,
fights.
So the most recent thing that happened on your birthday, that was a Jiu-Jitsu fight?
Yeah.
Who was it against?
So it was actually against a B team guy that's from Austin. So Renzo Gracie, we actually have what's called the guy John Donaher that was GSP's coach, and he's had a group called the Donaher Death Squad. They were over in Puerto Rico together.
Okay.
And they traveled around a little bit during the pandemic to get away from all the regulations, right?
Course,
so now they moved over to Austin, and they are borrowing our facility while they're still building or in the process of finding their own new location.
So
it's like celebrity status every day, and we have people from all over the world that come in.
See, that's great though.
That's so much fun, dude. It's such a melting pot, right?
So when they came over though, their team kind of split. They had some aggravation, and they split. Yeah, and then the team that's over here is called B team now. They're downtown Austin, and then the rest of the team is still with us.
So is there
a little bit of grind going on, and
there's still a little animosity between.
Yeah,
them.
It makes a cool show, Yeah.
I don't know him personally. You got to keep the kayfabe going. I mean, not to use wrestling terms, but you got to keep the kayfabe going because if you're not going to have that, then what's the point, man? I mean,
absolutely. It's
turf
war, man. You know what I'm saying?
So it's hard on an organization to move around. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's trying to figure out, if this is where they're going to be. Everybody's trying to put roots down in their own ways, and it's hard to manage life. Life's hard, and so
it's big.
It makes sense whenever you got guys who've been moving around from Puerto Rico and stuff to Austin that maybe a particular group of guys within that group want to play things a different way, and the guys who have that sensibility kind of lean that way, and that's the natural progression of things.
So did you find yourself I gotta get out of this place? I gained 5-10 pounds. I'm sitting on the couch. COVID's running me ragged. Or did you kind of I'll figure it out. I'll go running in the morning. I'll kind of or was it kind of your opportunity to just kind of slack just a little?
No, not at all. I think honestly, whenever I get a little, I've kind of done this throughout my life in different things that I was into. I think I've kind of found a little spot in me, even whenever I was running cross country in high school and playing my sports. Then find a little spot in my head, and man, I could go there and always just hit it mile after mile. Find a little extra drive. So I would always go outside, mess with the trees and leaves, and mess around outside in the country as a little country boy, And
absolutely.
Punch and kick and hit stuff out there all the time. I get mad and throw rocks and things,
Absolutely.
Just whatever. Go to the tank and go fishing or whatever it was, right? All these different routes, so I can always set my mind at ease.
So you find a certain let's say it's
you find your zen.
Yeah, it's you're
the art of motorcycle maintenance, right? After you get to twisting that wrench for so long, you kind of turn off and you're just in the zone doing that thing, and you can do that effectively when you're doing something physical.
It gets fun. And then what's so cool about it is, and I've enjoyed it so much more and more the more I've fell into jiu-jitsu and gotten better and better at jiu-jitsu, and I've gotten into being so much more calm at being, having different people on top of me or whatever trying to attack me and things like this. So along the way, as you grow in this self-defense and jiu-jitsu and MMA and all these things, it's almost, it really humbles you enough to where you you're just super, super calm and chill about everything. Even during the fight, and then you can control that explosion if you need to.
Did you notice that, like, over time, because of your I wouldn't say this in a bad way, but you're in a constant state of awareness. Like, you're kind of just like, you can walk into a situation and you kind of like, okay, well, I know this, and this. Not from the fact that you're at a point of wanting to fight or wanting to, but just because did you find out that it helped your situational awareness and all aspects of life, or is it more of like I'm in the ring and now my situational awareness is here?
I think it was all for me more so. I started any of it for just to be in the moment.
Yeah.
Because I was ready to get out of my head.
Yeah.
I had such a terrible time a long time ago, and like I was ready to just really try to avoid a lot of things that I mentally had going on.
Yeah.
So it was an easy way for me to just be right then and there in the moment. Jiu-jitsu, with somebody around my neck, I didn't have no freaking choice, man.
Yeah, you have no time
to think
about...
You gotta pull that monkey off your back.
You ain't got time to be anxious or depressed. You can't be thinking about what happened 6 months ago, and you can't be thinking about what's going to happen 6 months from now. You're trying not to go to sleep right now.
My first professor here, shout out to Eric, man.
All right, Eric, we appreciate you.
Eric Freed, man, one of the best guys I've ever known in my life, and he'll be a great brother of mine forever. But he's
what a great shout out.
He's touched me. He's touched me in many different ways. He's helped me through a lot of stuff, and he's choked me out a whole lot too. Like, I've been completely unconscious on the mats, in many different ways.
But the thing about
it is,
to create
awareness in my body.
I mean, he's clearly someone who gave you, the opportunity to grow as a fighter. So that so in turn you have to, like, I'm not an MMA guy. I'm not in that, but I have so many people that along the way, when I was falling in and out of jobs, and I was kind of like, and I focused on just being at a liquor store for 7.5 years, and for that brief period of time before that, and I was such a, like, oh, I don't need this, I don't need to do that, I don't need to grow up. Yeah. And then you find out real quick that there's going to be people in your life that just kind of sit you down and be like, you're not going to be 20 forever, you're not going to be this forever. Yeah. Well, let's focus on this, let's get you here, let's get you there. And I don't think that without that 7 years of Twin Liquors and actually being focused and kind of turned into actually having to be an adult, I don't think that me and Josh would have been here, because I probably still would have been in this phase of, like, I don't need to focus on these things.
We can always hit these little spots, I believe, in life, here's that cool spot, oh, there's that person that touched me in this way to help me realize or turn one direction or the other, whatever it may be. I think, Eric for sure helped me through a lot of hard times that I think if I would have thought differently, it could have been a pretty easy process for me to waver the opposite direction. So I've always been real thankful for him to be able to just support me in the things that I did. He wasn't ever an MMA coach.
But this is like big pun over here. This is my shaman here, man. Because for real, we were like coming into COVID, and we were just like, we didn't really know anything, and I was just like, we were BSing about Rick and Morty, and I just like come out like, hey bro, let's do a podcast. And he was like, no hesitation, no, like, let me think about it and get you back on a Tuesday. He's like, let's do a podcast.
So it was perfectly synergetic, because I was already, like, recording my Conehook Companion. Like, I had just started it, and I was just now really starting to kind of figure out what I was going to do. And I'd been trying to, like, get my brother to come and do some podcasts and stuff with me. And I'd been trying to figure out who I was going to be able to do podcasts and stuff with me. And Mikey presented himself with just, like, the perfect opportune moment. And, I'm real big on, like you said, the positive energy. I'm real big on identifying the path of least resistance and hitting it hard.
Yep.
And he really is. I knew
that he was going to be a place where I could put in energy and it was going to return back to me.
And it really is, because, like, for the most part, I think I even had this conversation with my family. I was like, I put a lifetime into cooking. I put a lifetime into cooking. A near 12 to 13 years into cooking. And we've put about a year into this, and I've found so much more success and so much more gratitude and so much more,
it's like fulfillment.
Fulfillment. Thank you.
That's the word.
Yeah, got so much fulfillment from this in less time, and got so much farther than I did ever in cooking. And granted, I've been told that my food is amazing. I've been told that my food is great, and I much prefer to have one listener tell me that my show's mediocre at best.
Right.
Because I'm putting love and care into this, and have like 10 people tell me that my food is good, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm just spinning my wheels.
You're just doing what fills you up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it isn't all about money. It isn't all about whatever bullshit that, like, the Crest commercial is trying to convince you it's about. It's about whatever serves you deep down, and like you know what that is, and like if you can tune out what else is going on in the rest of the world, and just follow your inner light.
That's really, I mean, I don't have kids, but I'm you know, I have nephews and I have cousins, and I think that's honestly something that is kind of like, you know, they seem to kind of miss now. There's no turning things off. Everything's always on. You don't get to focus in this central moment, because me and him were actually talking about it. Not only does time move fast, you know, media moves fast, but in general, just things just move fast. And then I think we're kind of lucky to have this, like, you know, pre-9/11 lifestyle where things were a little slower.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, bro, I remember before the internet.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like we're like those guys who, like us dudes sitting here right now. Yeah. We're those dudes who like grew up with the world. We came up in a very, very special moment in human history. They're gonna look back on this in 1,000 years.
Oh, that was gone.
And like our 100-year period where we came up, bro, is gonna be so important. Like, we're the only generation that's ever existed that really got to experience life without the internet, and then really got to experience life with it, and then really got to experience, and then got to see it like on the come up. Like we've been there for the whole thing, the whole deal. And I mean, I think that it's like a uniquely enlightened position just by the virtue of what we've seen, bro. Like we've seen seen levels of change that people 100 years ago couldn't have fathomed, right?
Yeah. Like, we've shrunk this marble, and then we've also trivialized the news to the nth degree.
Well,
because it doesn't move so fast.
Well, you can't help but trivialize news whenever there isn't any objectivity in the news.
Yeah.
Whenever Fox is only there for the sake of selling you crest.
The only way to go is faster, though. So,
yeah.
That's why Joe Rogan's killing it right now. We find some objectivity out there in the world.
I'm the old man that fears the meta universe. I'm like that. I'm not the only old man, but I am the old man who's just like.
I remember saying in middle school that the next big frontier in real estate was digital. Yeah. I remember saying in middle school that
I never wanted it to be, but I had to, because there was I had no choice, right?
Well, I mean, that's our whole problem. Well, it isn't a problem. That's our whole thing now. It's like we're going live, right? Yeah. So we have given ourselves a brief period of time to get online and go live.
Well, and this is why I'm so adamant. This is like, frankly, this is what you're talking about right now. That's why I was so adamant about getting into podcasting, because what's going to happen whenever 1 billion people in India plug into the internet? What's going to happen when 1 billion people plug in Africa to the internet? They're going to look to the people who lead culture for how to act. And guess who's exporting culture? We are exporting right now, by the virtue of sitting in front of that camera, in front of these mics, and uploading it into this fucking box for the rest of the world to see. And people are exporting culture to the rest of the world, bro. And like, not that maybe it didn't happen right now, bro, but in the next 100 years, bro, whenever everybody else starts plugging in, they're going to look right to where the flow of culture is coming from.
It's not that I need a correction in the language, but like he told me, I found things and I moved forward with the things that I liked and pushed the things I didn't. Like, and that's what this whole studio is about. We got things we like, and we pushed out the things we don't like, you know?
Absolutely.
That's kind of like...
I can't find what the internet does is what the world does.
I can't find a lick of bad vibes in this studio. There's like not a single thing in here that I have bad vibes about. Like, it's such a happy place.
This is kind of why I like, you say culture, but I think this is kind of why I like the culture of jiu-jitsu so much, honestly, because it's just like it feeds itself, right? Certain things feed out. If the culture is off, or if something's wrong in the culture, it definitely spits itself out. So a lot of times it's really cool, just like all the
it self-corrects all the time.
It's got an inbuilt system of checks and balances.
But you're also that in-book. You're the person that checks and balances.
Yeah, right? I'm one of them. Yeah,
one of them.
You're the one who greets them at the door.
I'm not saying that like you're the only one. I'm just saying like you're, in essence,
it's all set.
You're
I mean, believe me, every gym or jiu-jitsu facility that you go to is brought down from the black belt professor that runs it. So shout out to my professor right now, Jason Repsch at BJJ Cop.
Shout outs, man. I'm feeling good about
at BJJ Cop on Instagram, man. Go hit him
that's
up.
Good, man. On our most recent SUYL, we were talking about how shitty the police are doing these days, and I think that having them guys, I think it's crazy that you got to go to school for 8 years to practice law in the courtroom, but 6 months to go and enforce it with a gun. My fucking barber has more training than local
I've got a
police
whole
department.
I've got a whole thought
my
process
fucking
on it.
Well, the
barber
thought process,
literally
if you
does
feel comfortable sharing it here, you can.
Absolutely,
if
it's
you don't,
fine. This is great. I speak my word to police officers every day while I'm training them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, so,
I train these guys consistently.
And the thing is that I want someone who's able to de-escalate. Georgetown was where I went to, you know, and I got Lieutenant Sharkle. He's probably already gone, man. I'm already 34. That man's probably retired with living his best life. Yeah. But he was one of those that were instrumental in teaching these guys who are long gone about conflict resolution and de-escalation.
Right. Yeah.
And that seemed to be, I'd say, right around 2009, 2008. It seemed to move out, and there seemed to be like a big process of forgetting about de-escalation and also forgetting about your gun being the means to a very dangerous end. Well, and escalating from there accordingly.
My only real 2 cents on it is like you said earlier, man. Having the training allows you to be calm and confident, right? I don't like that police officers are scared. You ought not be scared.
This is a big problem.
Like, you ought to be able, as a fucking 6'3", bald-headed, tattooed gorilla, because that's what the demographic for cops is now. It isn't fucking. It isn't fucking donut-eating fat asses like it was when we were on the come up. Now they're all apes. Yep. Right, but they don't have any training, and they're like all doing steroids, and they're all big angry fucking dudes who had really tough had really tough middle school come ups, and now they got a fucking bone to pick with everybody. And those guys need to like be able to be confident. Like, there's no reason why a 6'4" police officer ought to be scared of you. You know what I'm saying? And it terrifies me because I watched Eric Gardner get choked to death because he was selling loose cigarettes because he was big and scary. Yeah. Well, I'm fucking big and scary. I ain't trying to get choked to death by 3 cops while a mob of people fucking watch because
just because you're big.
Just because I'm big. I'm literally going, I can't breathe, I submit, and they keep fucking choking me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so with that being my general perspective on the matter, right, and how jiu-jitsu and stuff could benefit it, I'd love to hear your thought on it, right? Because you said you have a big opinion on it. Let's hear it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just know for a fact whenever they do need, I think all police officers need some sort of jiu-jitsu. I think they definitely need some sort of training in jiu-jitsu, at least a year of jiu-jitsu training.
Just to manifest that zen.
Sambo, wrestling, anything, right?
6 months.
But also to manifest that zen that you were talking about, right?
6 months of jiu-jitsu is makes you a completely different person.
I mean, bro, if you can hold someone on the ground for 5 minutes straight, everyone's going to burn out.
It'll make you so much more conscious of what you're doing to someone, or whether you're actually choking someone.
Did you see the
all
young
these
man?
Things can be averted if you just a little bit of jiu-jitsu training. So we really try to push that. Yeah, all over.
There was like a 20-year-old guy. He was like 20, maybe 22, maybe a bit even younger. But he had just gotten done doing like Muay Thai Jiu-Jitsu, and there was a cop who was actually getting the wrong end of a beating, or maybe the right end, wherever you want to find it.
Sure.
But then there was a 17, 18-year-old kid who basically got him through means of jiu-jitsu and helped that police officer out.
For sure.
Know?
Yeah,
so
I think I actually know exactly what video you're talking about. There's a little bitty Mexican kid walks up, and there's like this burly old white man who's giving this cop all the trouble in the world. Yeah. And I mean, the cop's humongous. The cop should have been able to handle this. This guy's 60. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's giving this guy way too much trouble. And this
probably a little bigger.
Yeah, but no, this cop was bigger than him.
Oh my god.
And yeah, I mean, it was.
I don't know, some of those old men are built differently.
It's embarrassing. You can tell like sausage fingers. The guy definitely twisted wrenches for a living. Yeah. But the bottom line is like this little 19-year-old Mexican kid walks up and it's like, hey man, just like do this. Yeah. And like coaches this dude through how to like effectively submit this guy. And like the guy even like once he gets him submitted, like starts putting his knee on his neck and the guy's like, don't do that, he's submitted, like he's like, don't do that. Easy. And like calms him down. And like at the end of the video, the guys like some gym found that video, right, and like put it up and was like, if you submit a video to us of you doing this, we'll give you a fucking free class of jiu-jitsu and the cop a free class of jiu-jitsu. And it's like they've turned it into a promotion thing, right? Yeah. But the bottom line is that it's such a prevalent thing that like literally some gyms are helping these police officers out in their marketing platform. Like it's that big. Like we're not crazy for seeing this, right? Like gyms are literally marketing themselves towards police officers.
Yeah, so we work with veterans. We work with veterans jiu-jitsu also, which they run around with obviously a lot of police and ex-veterans, right? Because a lot of ex-veterans turn into police officers after they get out of the military.
Gotta find you a Bill Dominator hierarchy somewhere.
Right, yes. So
gotta have
that couldn't be, I mean,
gotta have an alpha chimp to tell me what to do somewhere.
I'm sorry, but that has nothing to do with the militarization of police officers, but I'll just leave that right here. I'll just leave that.
Military culture influencing local police departments is something we'll talk about on SUYL.
Yeah.
This is SUYL. Fuck.
I'm just saying, we'll leave that to another time.
This turned into an armchair MMA in my mind real fucking quick.
Yeah.
All right, man. You poaching my guests here, bro.
So we actually have Wednesday nights at Renzo Gracie. We do a first responder and veterans jiu-jitsu night.
That's fucking
right?
badass,
So
dude.
we carry that every Wednesday night. Everybody just comes at 8:30 p.m. and we roll for like 2 hours. That's great.
Yeah.
So it's like
love
we
that.
try to help everybody just come get it out and finish their night well.
Yeah.
Right. I've got a good friend of mine. Shout out to Joey Zinze. He's awesome head of veterans jiu-jitsu in Austin. He runs around all over different locations, different jiu-jitsu facilities all over Austin, and carries jiu-jitsu, veterans jiu-jitsu for everyone. Right?
So let's say a guy like me.
That's a cool deal. That's a really cool deal.
Let's say a guy like me.
That.
I'm not in this. Y'all guys are the MMA, UFC guys. Let's say, because I've done it before. I walked into the jiu-jitsu. I walked into the one in Taylor here, and I asked. But let's just say someone like me is just like, I want to use this to kind of get myself into a better place, and I just walk in. I loved the culture when I walked in there first. Y'all guys treated me like I'd known y'all for years, and like I couldn't have asked you to be on the podcast if you hadn't treated me like that.
Sure.
I mean, we're acquaintances. We're not friends, but
sure.
Dude, I feel like I could come to you and be like, bro, I'm not in the right headspace. I need to get into something that's going to kind of help me out, and I know that you could probably be there just through my interactions with you. So like what I'm saying is, I got a guy who's listening to SUYL, and he's not in the right headspace. How does he get to your gym and be like, hey, get me in this right headspace, get me into a place where I'm kind of, because I almost feel like y'all guys build people into not being better men, but just better people. You know what I mean?
Well, what's the way for someone who's in a bad place to come and approach a jiu-jitsu game and potentially put themselves in a better place physically and mentally? What's the best way for them to do?
So number one, I don't want to you don't exactly have to come to my facility, but I'd love to see you. I'd love to see you if you pick a gym, any gym, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is all over
these
the world.
jiu-jitsu places are everywhere, and I think the culture of jiu-jitsu is growing and growing. So there's more facilities open up since the pandemic has slowed down and all these things, right? So if you're in such a bad spot that it's hard, right? So
you need to get it out.
You need to be able to get that stuff out, and you're just itching to get it out, and you do have the gumption to go check one of these places out. For sure, go check one out, man. Any of these spots are a good spot to go. They're always going to, whenever you go in, most of the places that you go to, they're going to give you a free trial class. You go in there to that free trial class and check it out and see how it goes, man. I think jiu-jitsu is always going to be tough. Your first bit that you start coming in, it's always going to be...
Yeah, you're going to get strangled by a white belt girl. Like, there's going to be some 120
You're climbing
girl.
a really steep mountain coming in that, right? But you're growing every single day that you're going through there, and you're going home just wore out and spent, right?
Well, but I think the thing that... I don't mean to interject, but I think the thing that helps people out a lot is that whenever they go and start doing this stuff, whenever they leave, they know that they're better than they were before they went. And it's hard for you to not feel good about yourself when you know that you're better than you were previous.
It's a good common goal,
you know what I'm
for
saying?
sure. Whenever you're coming into jiu-jitsu, you definitely want to grow and be better than you were before.
Well, I mean, you're going to definitely feel as though your ego's been checked a little bit, and you've been able to, someone who doesn't work out at all, right? They go and get their first good workout in a long time. They should feel good about that.
All part of growing. Yes.
Yeah, and so that's the thing is like there's several different ways that going and doing this can ping your reward system as someone who's in a bad way and who maybe needs that bit of dopamine that you need. So and it's a thing that you can do that's going to go out and create a healthy cycle of rhythms, right? Like you go and start doing this twice a week, man, you're going to find yourself in probably a much better headspace.
Well, even a lot of times, I think people will come in that are having too much mental battles.
Yeah.
And this actually takes a control of the mental part.
It gives
of
them
their
something to
mind,
really fight,
right? And
they get to really fight,
and
something.
they're not just they're not physical people at all. They just come in for a mental battle, and this is really tough.
That's what I'm saying.
And the problem is that
a lot of thing they can conquer and they can achieve and feel accomplished after.
And then you get the physical people.
Yeah.
That are power lifters, and they got to have more, and they want to come in and do it too. So this goes all both ways. It's so crazy.
The funny thing is, I think that
every walk of life, bro. There's something for everybody in the jiu-jitsu gym, for real.
I think it's funny because when you find someone who's really having, let's say, a battle issue with their internal self, right? Like you were saying, it self actualizes that problem, and you're able to actually see it, right? So you can treat it as oh man, maybe I'm feeling this way about a certain thing. You can put that energy you can replace that energy into that, and then on top of that, you have these guys who come in here with a chip on their shoulder, thinking that I'm alpha king, here in my location, and then they step in there and they come in with that same energy, and you get to kind of do the same thing. You get to show them that you may have come a long way, but there's always more to learn. There's always ways.
There's always a black belt ready to strangle.
Exactly.
There's always a fucking black belt.
Yeah, and so I think that it helps those
bro.
people. It helps the people in both mental state. It helps people that are pushing out of a dark place, and those people who have put themselves maybe in a better place, but now they're using that to kind of like
I think the simplest
push someone else around.
I think the simplest way to put this, it don't matter if you got a firm hand or a limp wrist, right? There's something
there's
there
a place for you.
Well, you go. I think the longer you stay in jiu-jitsu, I think that. So the thing with jiu-jitsu is, there's not a big percentage of the population that has done it, or that is doing it. Right? It's growing right now.
Less than 1% of the population. Less than 1 out of 100 people are actively rolling.
Now the people that stay in it for 3 years as a white belt, right, to move on to their blue belt, 3 years, like I say. Sometimes it takes people up to that amount.
It's like if you
usually by that
for 3
time,
years,
that
it's not for
percentage
you.
is half. That percentage is halved by that time.
Yeah,
So
it's like any school.
Then it goes up to the next belt and halves.
Any level of
goes up to the
education.
next belt and halves again. Right?
Well, I think you
smaller percentages come out of this.
with any kind of business. With any kind of like means of making yourself grow, you find that it can cut, right. It can cut out the people who aren't prepared as we move forward into the things we really want to be professional at.
For sure.
I mean, you're not going to find a whole hand of 5-star Michelin chefs, but as soon as you do find that person, that has, basically, like you said, done the cut of the cut of the cut. Now that cream has risen to the top, brother. And it's just like, that's it, man.
Yeah, it's crazy how it kind of filters itself like this, and I think just such a small percentage of the population that do jiu-jitsu, I think that maybe, there's some other athletics that are like this, that are pretty small percentages of the world. I just hope it keeps growing and growing. It's just such a positive thing for life in general, physically, mentally. There's so many positivities out of it, right? We need these police to keep doing more and more.
Yeah.
I mean, we need
training
the police.
more and more.
We need the police.
My professor goes around every month all over the United States. He just came back from Washington, D.C. He does what's called Invictus Leo training. He has this Invictus program that's all police jiu-jitsu, and they do a whole belt grading system for police jiu-jitsu.
So
that's so cool.
No offense. Like, I'm not trying to take any kind of like gumption out of it, but what did you think of what is the guy who was coming in?
Oh yeah, dude, we loved it.
He was. I loved that they were checking this guy so hard. I know we're talking in like code here.
I can't remember what
it's like. Urban combat training. I think is what it is. And then this jiu-jitsu fighter comes in, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna come at you, and and so he gets a gun, and he's trying to teach him urban combat.
It's like a bullshit artist.
And he shoots him 3 times.
Is it the dude who went and cornered Buckley?
No,
it's different. Different dork.
Wait, no, I think it is him.
He's like from Detroit.
Detroit urban combat.
This is him. Yes, this is him. I'm sorry.
So that's great that like someone went and was like, oh yeah, fucking give me that.
We loved it. My professor Jason absolutely loved it.
I had to imagine that
we like spin off T-shirts every so often, right? So he spun off and right before that it was Go Brandon, so he spun off a Go Brandon T-shirt, and then it was this dude afterwards. He spun off another.
That's so great.
Wonderful.
I love that.
That's fantastic.
And then there was another one. And I'm not too big into gym culture, but have you seen the new he's like a new YouTube guy who like shames the shamers. There's this one kid, he's trying to do like a power lift he can't quite get. He's trying to do like a jerk and pull that he can't quite get.
Right.
And they're all cheering him on, and then some like ape comes in and jerks and pulls it with one. And then he's like, "Hey, bro," he's like, "Not here, man." Like, he's like, "Come on, like, teach this kid how to do it correctly instead of like coming in and alphaing him." He's a real cool guy.
Right.
Like, he kind of like.
I've actually seen this guy.
Fosters a positive gym culture. Yeah. He fosters a positive gym culture and tells people that to mind their own business instead of posting this stuff on YouTube and Facebook for likes and gratitude.
Yeah, instead of trying to shame somebody so that you can get a little bit of dopamine, how about you mind your own fucking business?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
let them people grow.
That's hoping. Honestly, that's kind of what I do. Whenever I do all my posts and things that I post, all the people that I know that I have as my friends list on all my social media, and that follow me, I'm hoping to inspire the whole time. That's all it's all about. man, I just turned 40 freaking years old, and this is what it's all about, right? I think just trying to keep pushing throughout your life.
If you're not changing that, if you're not
staying
changing,
healthy and happy, do the things that you love, and move forward.
If you're 18 and you're the same person you were when you were 15, or you're 25 and you're the same person
you were. Put a button on that right there, man.
You know,
that's beautiful.
You're 35 and now you're 40 and you're the same person you were at 35.
Dude,
that's just
I'm
that's
so
it
much
hurts,
better
man.
than I was.
That's what I'm saying. You got to grow, man.
I'm so much
we were
better
talking
than I
about.
was.
And I don't want to bring it too dark. I don't want to bring it too heavy. But we were talking about the guy who did the shooting and he wrote the manifesto. And we were trying to let people know that you don't carry, like, men now need to learn how to let. How do we say we need to grow from our losses and like shooting our shots and letting these things kind of roll off our back.
Yeah, this is you can tell he's an incel. He's a guy who like experienced rejection 3 times.
And
like resisted it his whole life. Like it's like and I
leaned on that. Yeah, and
like
held him in a spot. Yeah,
I like to equivocate, shooting your shot with women to shooting your shot in basketball. Man, like no one ever fucking put the ball in the hoop the first time they tried. Ever. You probably didn't even hit the fucking goal. It probably was embarrassing, right? Yeah. The same thing happens with women, and it's even worse because like now like someone just doesn't approve of me. Oh, woe is me. Yeah. Right? Like that shit sucks, bro, but like keep trying. Like,
but if you never shoot,
it's a muscle, bro. Like it's a repetitious cycle. It's a muscle, bro. If you can get the motion down, bro, bag anytime you want.
And the crazy thing is,
if you never shoot, you're not gonna have a chance.
Yeah, exactly. And we were just trying to. I mean, like we're gonna get listeners. We know we're gonna get listeners, and we just want those.
And
listeners.
If they don't, fuck them. Like, fuck our listeners. That's my general opinion.
But like we're gonna get listeners, and we just want the. We were at that point to letting them know, or letting anybody know, for that case, that like to live in that world of like shame and like just like letting that stuff sit on your shoulders, man, is just, it's not fair to it's not only not fair to you, man, it's not fair to the people you surround.
It's selfish. Yeah. It's a selfish way to live, no matter how you slice it, bro.
Yeah,
for sure.
So what on a positive note, one of the ways that I like to think of how jiu-jitsu and stuff can be good for people is that like if you're someone who's struggling with a battle mentally, right, and you feel like you don't have the strength, right, going and doing jiu-jitsu and like developing that physical and mental strength to go out there and roll and get your ass beat is going to give you like the fortitude that you need to get over the thing that you're fighting on the back end. Like it's a long process, and you need to build yourself up. And like what jiu-jitsu and martial arts and things like that, where you're building yourself up physically and you're building up your confidence, is a great first step to getting yourself positioned so that you can actually throw a good punch at that mental health problem.
I think it's important. For me, it was like coach.
I think a lot of people don't understand that.
I hashtag a lot of mental health awareness stuff, right?
That's great.
That's great. That's super cool. That's super cool that we're talking about it.
I deal with a lot of. There's actually some guys in our facility that I've recently signed up that are recovering alcoholics and drug addicts and things of this nature, and then they live nearby, and we hold each other accountable. I try to keep phone calls often and stuff.
And
like
I think
this,
that's what I'm trying to say. Is I think that there's. This is
kind of what it's about, right?
But this is the type of culture. Like anybody who's watching this or listening to this, like you're an exceptional dude. Make no mistake. But this is the type of culture that exists in these gyms, right? Like if you're like a lone dude, don't really have a big social circle. Went to a small town. Your friends moved off. You got your dog and maybe 2 friends. You know what I'm saying? Go to the fucking gym, bro. And maybe not even necessarily the weightlifting gym, because that's where a lot of the shaming shit happens, right?
This is where shaming shit happens.
But the funny thing is
if you go to the jiu-jitsu gym, bro, everybody's going to build each other up, right? Because everybody's trying to get better.
We're going to grow.
I did see that, though.
That's what we fucking need for people, man.
For like a good 6 weeks, man, they seemed like they wanted to shame this like gym culture, not just lifting gym, but just kind of gym culture in general. And they kind of made it seem like, oh, well, these are where the alphas hang out, and these are where like these no necks hang out. And I'm like, well, put yourself there before you start basically equating these people to the enemy, because I literally walked in.
Don't talk shit from the outside.
Yeah, and I literally I walked in, and I walked into y'all's, and granted, I didn't stay there long enough to maybe I stayed there long enough to achieve my selfish goal, and maybe not long enough to achieve a positive goal. But when I was there, I don't think the guy even really spoke that good of English, or what. He just seemed like a really nice, and he was like constantly like and it was frustrating, but I don't think I ever felt like more, kind of like centered and happy in this place, because y'all guys didn't like. make me feel bad for the locks or the missteps. It was just like an education.
Yeah.
And I think that if people nowadays, they find education a slight, or like they like being learned or being educated as almost something that they need to push back against.
People need to be comfortable with being ignorant.
Yeah.
Like bro,
ignorance is so much better than being stupid.
There's 100 quadrillion bits of information out there, and you only know
so offended by it.
You only know such a small percentage. Like the portion of information that are unknowns is so much drastically larger than any other category of information that you can try and categorize. Now, like, you need to accept ignorance, right? Like, there's too much information. You don't know what you don't know, and that's fine. That's true. Fine. Yeah.
This is really crazy because you see this often, I don't know, at times, I guess, in jiu-jitsu. I'll see it with, different belted people, in gi jiu-jitsu, we have different belt classes and things like this. In no gi, we don't have so much the belt classes. You have a randomness because we have wrestlers and judo guys and things that do different things. But with the gi, you do have a belt pattern that you go through up to the black belt, right? So sometimes you'll get, I'm like 3-stripe purple belt. Hopefully, God willing, he'll be brown pretty soon.
We're rooting for you.
Yeah, man. I think.
No matter. He's gonna keep working. It's gonna come.
Oh yeah, it's coming pretty quick. Sometimes the knowledge base, like me, man, I train so much. I teach kids 2 times a day. I do 2 trainings a day with John Donahere. I'll at least do 1 a day with John Donahere. Then I'll do 1 with our guys at Ranzo, Gracie. And then sometimes I'll teach or uke in the morning. And what a uke is, it's the coach's assistant that we're demonstrating the moves on for the class, right? So I'm actually a professional uke for these guys, right? So I get paid to do this kind of stuff.
Well, that's the thing though, man, is like you find your same center in your gym
equivalent of the punching bag.
Yeah, I equivalent it to it's like the equivalent of a rodeo clown.
That's great.
That's fucking wonderful. They're like, yeah, bro, we're gonna fucking strangle you.
Bring him in, yeah.
You're like, man,
put him in the barrel.
You basically
I'm certain your guys are gonna really appreciate that.
They love it.
It's like, this motherfucker thinks the rodeo clown. Fuck.
It's so
find something better for him to do.
Dude, I swear they spot me. I'll go to seminars, or seminars will come to our facility. We'll have these like really big name guys come through, and they spot me out of the crowd, and they're like, "Hey, man, I'll use you as the uke today." And it's just like, oh,
they treat you like
you got something. You got some energy about you.
Like, this is great. Let's do it, man.
They're just treating you like you're filled with straw, and they can just throw you around. Huh?
Yeah,
like this guy, his organs are okay. We're just gonna throw him over here for 2 seconds.
Yeah, this one guy, he's just like, yeah, you look like you can hold yourself up in this position long enough, or whatever.
So exactly, like tough enough and chill enough, bro. Like tough enough to deal with it and chill enough to deal with it.
He's like, you're literally, what is it, on Talladega Nights when he's got him in the armbar, and he's like, I'm just gonna sit down here and drink my beer. Drink my beer. He's like, I'm gonna break your arm, man. Just break my arm. I'm gonna sit down here and drink my beer.
So, dude, on the subject of mixed martial arts, man, the one thing, so I really love PFL, and the reason I want to talk about it is because I really like what they do with their scoring. How they have the smart ring, and then they show the and smart ring's like always right. At least it seems like it. Like it's always pretty on fucking point. And then they actually show the judges' scorecards. They show what the commentary squad thinks, and they show what the people who are voting on it thinks. Like
I didn't realize all that.
Yeah, so like they'll put it up.
You're telling me new stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah, so like they'll pop a graphic up and show what the smart ring thinks, what the commentary team thinks, what the people who are calling in and voting thinks, and what the judges thinks. And it's really great because at the end you can see where like one judge will be the anomalous one. You know what I'm saying? And it like helps to like maintain accountability.
For sure.
Because I think that there's a big problem with the judging, bro. I think that like I don't see how guys can be getting like split decisions whenever he got a 30-27. You know what I'm saying? Like how did he lose the fight and he got a 30-27 on one judge's scorecard? Like that guy is wrong. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know if we need to make it to where it's open scoring, and I don't know if we need to start incorporating AI, and I don't know if we need to start like crowdsourcing. Like I think a good idea would be crowdsourcing, like you know how they do the voting. Yeah. And so if you could make a metric over time of everybody who voted, and determine who voted right the most out of everybody who voted, and start creating like a pool of people who are always right, and start prioritizing what they have to say. Like, I don't know, man. There's got to be a way.
I don't know, because
it's not a smart problem. Like, I'm real big on dumbass issues, bro.
So
like,
this is the problem. This is the problem I see. This is the problem that I see with that, because most states have their own regulations, right? They have to abide by certain things no matter what. At the same time, that promotion, whatever state it moves into, they got to abide by that state's regulation. Number two, so they always have to be around that, whatever that bubble is. Number two, now the fighters that are going in, they're agreeing upon fighting, whether it be pro or semi-pro. If it's semi-pro, then no elbows and knees. And pro is knees and elbows, right?
Which I can't stand that in PFL. They don't allow elbows in the clinch or on the ground.
Right.
Like,
so there's
really,
always
like,
certain
really
rules.
bugs me. That's like one of the only things about PFL that I really don't like.
And some of them are like no assisted, only jumping knees. No head assisted.
Yeah.
While you're jumping.
Yeah.
And things
All
like
kinds
this,
of
right?
all kinds of weird rules in different promotions.
Yeah.
And
So
what
I
happens
think
if you're walking in and you kind of mix that up? Is it a ding again?
this is the deal, right? So this is the problem that I see with fans voting, because they don't know all these certain rules. They don't know certain things.
Yeah, like if I'm looking at this, I'm
well. So in my
they don't know.
we were talking about it getting.
So in my world, right, it's like everybody gets to vote, but not every vote necessarily gets counted. It's after they build the metric over time, right? And like the guys who are right, like over the course of a year, right? If a dude voted at every card and was right on every card, then like his one could be one of the ones that get prioritized, right?
I think it's funny because you were talking
crowdsourcing. Right? Like, there's no way that out of 100,000.
I think that's good for certain things for the.
Well,
I think that's good.
Josh was talking about something that was really interesting about how these fights are becoming, I guess, so, I guess they're becoming so good that it's almost the minute things that seem to be more important than like the heavy hits. Like you were saying that it almost.
I don't think it's good for the judging of it. I think it's good for other things maybe, but I don't think it's good for the judging of the contest.
Well, I don't think that the way the judging's going right now is good. I think that I think that it needs to be improved upon. And I'm just trying to think about. I think that they need to find a way to better maintain accountability, right? Because like at the end of the day, those judges aren't being hired by the promotions. Right, like aren't they being hired by, or isn't that like a thing through the state and like?
Yeah, the judges are state officials.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that we need to find a way so that the corporations that are putting on the promotion can better maintain accountability with the guys from the state, because the guys from the state are clearly fucking it up, and like that, and so that's the issue, right? Is we need to find a way to like maintain accountability, and so I would like to make it so that we could have more data to look at so that we can cross-examine these guys' performance, right? Because the only metric that they have to look at right now is their own performance, right? And so if we had a smart ring, if we had the opinions of the professionals, like the there's like the media score, bro. Like there's a few things that they do.
You can go into Tapology reports and things like this and see some things. You can go into ShareDog and see MMA reports and things like this, and they also have a lot of these analytics that you're talking about on ShareDog and Tapology. So you can look into that kind of same, like you can actually pull some of that info off of there, and you could get close to what you're talking about. I think.
And so, I guess the main thing that no one really understands well enough, just from like the outside looking in, is where the integration point is between the corporations and the state, because like it's I've heard like Dana
always going to be separation.
I've heard Dana be like, that judge is doing shit. Like I feel like it should be that if like the promoter isn't pleased with the performance of a judge in a particular circumstance, that person, like I feel like
it's totally the opposite.
The promotion should be able to be like, yo, we don't want that guy doing it with us because he does a bad job.
Oh no, they'll tell the promotion they can just go.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They'd rather have them kick rocks than change a judge.
They don't really need to have to worry about that. Yeah. They've got another promotion waiting to come.
So see, we need to find a way to make it so that we can maintain accountability with them. They're getting their money either way because there's promotions coming in, and like they don't really give a fuck, right? But like,
so it's like abide by our rules or not, and this is how it's always been. I think and
now
those rules change here and there, right? And I think it's about going ahead and just like we do with any of our other bills and things like this, we got to go promote change. We got to go promote change.
I just think that we would, if it's at that point, we would have to put in some litigation that makes it so that we can observe the performance of these judges over time and interpret who the oddballs are that are doing a bad job and like root them out. Right?
I totally agree. If
it's got to be something, bro.
If any of the viewers do have that discrepancy in their mind, for sure, go start looking at Texas Department of Licensing and Registration website. You can follow along on YouTube. All of their meetings are right there, and they'll tell you all these different all the rule settings and everything, all the different competitions that are going to be coming up, and what rules for per competition.
Well, so I think the rules are perfectly clearly stated. I think that the thing that's the issue is
at least we can get the Texas side of it, right?
It's that there's this
that
there's this radical discrepancy in how the rules are being interpreted judge by judge.
Sure.
Whenever one guy gets 30-27, 30-27, and he wins 2 cards, and then the other judge gives the guy who lost to 30-27, like what the fuck is happening? How are you that far off?
And then they're leaving that judge with the interpretation is the thing, right? This judge is liable for that interpretation.
Yeah, so I mean, there's got to be a way to be like, yo, you were wrong. Like your interpretation was too far off.
But you have to go. There has to be that fighter, and that fighter has to send in a report, and they have to send it up to the board and all this stuff.
So and you can guarantee it's with the state.
So you're basically saying
the state has no interest in maintaining accountability.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you're saying that it's
so
basically
we need to make it so that they can I don't know if we need to make it so that we can hire independent contract third-party companies to do the judging. I don't know if there needs to be.
I see what you're saying.
I don't know. I literally don't know. And if you're
wasn't that a big issue in
us.
boxing though too for a long time? Is that you find that the cards are a big issue, and with large when you find that as the boxing purse gets bigger, you find that the judges can really make or break a really positive.
Oh yeah.
A really positive or negative part of the boxing. The whole viewing of the boxing.
I think it's that way with every sport.
Yeah.
Every sport.
Once
you start getting those dollars into stuff, then things get manipulated in certain ways for a reason.
So I don't want to. Man, we could go all night, but we're hitting that. We're already
over an hour. Our podcasts are usually under an hour.
Yeah, it happens. I mean,
So, dude, is there anything this is your soapbox?
Yeah.
Bro? Is there anything
jump on
that people are going to listen to this, bro? You can plug yourself. You can plug the guys you're working with.
Man.
You can just say something nice, I know you're about to get
say something ugly. Say something. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever, bro. This is your final soapbox to the world, bro. Give the camera a gaze and see what your closing statements are.
Yeah, so I think for me, I'm gonna go ahead and give my shout out to myself on my Instagram. Shout out at Tuck and Roll Jiu Jitsu, baby. Everybody hit me up on
what a fun handle
at Tuck and Roll Jiu Jitsu.
Awesome,
yeah, all else fails. Tuck and Roll Jiu Jitsu, guys. Okay, so hit me up if you guys ever want to get interested in jiu-jitsu or want to talk about it, chat about it, hear some positive stuff. You can always check out my Instagram. I got a YouTube channel also, Craig Wayne Tucker. You can always check out my YouTube. I've got some pretty cool jiu-jitsu competitions on there, little MMA striking stuff, and I've got some at-home self-workouts. You can always go do some stuff for yourself at the house if you feel like it.
Bodyweight workouts, stuff like that.
Yeah, just all
stuff anyone can do.
Anybody can do it. It's all bodyweight stuff. If you feel like getting in your garage and just doing stuff on your own, you don't like being around people, you can do some of this kind of stuff, right?
Beautiful.
Yeah, a lot of jiu-jitsu-esque stuff, but it's really good. Just self workouts. Little plug, like I said, once again, Renzo Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Love you guys, man. Y'all are awesome team. New Wave Jiu-Jitsu. Love you guys. Y'all are awesome team.
And if you're trying to look up Renzo, that's spelled with an R.
With an R.
It's a Portuguese name. The R makes a H.
Yes.
In Portuguese.
The longer we stay in Jiu-Jitsu, the more Portuguese we talk to at the same time. So, MMA style guys, y'all just hit me up. We always do some MMA stuff in Austin. So, Renzo Gracie, once again, just
Central Texas,
check
a
me out.
low-key hotbed for MMA.
So
really
you're
is.
legitimately my second guest. You would be his first guest, pretty much.
Yeah.
We appreciate it, man, Craig. We are
It's
so
all
we're
love.
stoked on it, man.
Man.
We love that you came in. My name's Elias.
This is Joshua.
Nice, man. Craig Tucker, man. Good to meet
It's
you.
been a fucking
All right,
bingo,
man.
guys.
Great to see you guys.
Monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth.